Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Ackermite, roll call, please.
Mrs. Urbane. Present. Mr. Storm.
Present.
Mrs. Tierney. Here. Mr. Stahl.
Present.
Dr. Krebs. Here. Mrs. Mark.
Here.
Mr. Meyer.
Here. All right, that moves us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Stahl, supported by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. That moves us to the superintendent report. Dr. Outlaw.
Okay, I'm going to begin. I'm going to bring Mr. Thompson forward to do some shining stars for our spring athletes. Mr. Thompson, as he's coming up here, just did a great job doing an alternate graduation for our golf and flag football team. So thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah.
It was great.
Nope, always great to celebrate our Brighton Bulldogs. So, and we've got some more outstanding student athletes to recognize for their efforts this past spring. We're going to start with boys track and field. If Coach Elsey and any members of his state team that are present, please come on up.
Hey, hello. First, want to start by saying thank you to Mr. Thompson and for the board for recognizing the accomplishments of all our athletes and for putting us coaches in a position to be successful. So thank you for that. This season in track and field, we had 97 athletes on the boys' side. We ended up finishing second in our region, and we were able to send 9 athletes to the state meet. So not quite everyone are here, but we had Alessandro Smigliani in the pole vault. He had a personal best in the pole vault that day. We had Mason Gay in the 400 meters, who ran really well. Sawyer Switalski in the 300-meter hurdles, had a personal best at the state meet. Sterling Brooks, personal best in the discus, nearly all state, finished 9th overall. And then Zach Roderko and Blake Kaliza ran in the 800-meter run. Blake Kaliza finishing 6th overall, 154 and change, finishing all state. And then our 4x800-meter run, placed 6th in the state. Ran 7 minutes and 54 seconds and a couple of tenths. I've been coaching track and field since 2009. That's our 4th best team that we've ever had. So great accomplishments this season, and look to build on our success going forward. Good job, guys.
We're going to stick with track and field and ask Coach Eddard to bring our ladies who represented us at the state finals meet up with her and talk a little bit about her season and how the state final meet went.
Okay, I'm really short. Can you hear me? Is that better? We were 4-1 in our duels. We won 4. We were 5th at conferences, and we had 13 all-conference athletes. We were 6th at regionals with only 26 points between first place and us. We had 10 all-region, of which 2 individual region champions and 1 relay champion. Of those, we had 17 state qualifiers, 2 individual all-state, and 2 school records. Of the state qualifying, we had the 4x800 meter relay with Maisie Kavanaugh, Ella Lorenz, Lydia Lamara, Juliette Lewis, Reese Cornier. They were 24th place at the state meet. in addition to a new school record. Next, we have the 4x400 meter relay, which finished in 16th place with Faith Cullen, Callie Kaiser, Juliette Lewis, Ella Lorenz, and Reese Cornier. We also had Lydia Lamara, which is standing second to me. She finished 19th place in the 3200 meter at the state meet. And Juliette Lewis, right next to me, was in the 800 meter at the state meet, finished 4th place, which is all state and a new school record. Twice, because once you break a school record once, anytime you do a personal best, it's another school record. And then finally, we had Cadence Hulsma, who competed in high jump, 4th place, all state.
And just a little housekeeping reminder, after we finish with our spring athlete Shining Stars, if we could have our Shining Stars back up for a group pick at the end, that'd be much appreciated. We're going to switch from track and field to boys lacrosse. Coach Carl had an unforeseen conflict arise, so he is not here tonight. But if our boys lacrosse players that are here this evening, if you could please come up, and so we can recognize your efforts. So our boys lacrosse program, back-to-back regional champs. They had an outstanding season. We're on the wrong end of it 5 times out of the whole course of the season and the postseason. 4 of those 5 losses, hard-fought losses, were all against teams that were in the state finals on Saturday. So, you know, right there banging on the door and tons of hard work put in. I'm going to quick read the names here. If I butcher a couple, I apologize in advance. But Cass Whitaker, Brody Shannon, Joyce Gonzalez, Maddox Marla, Luke Blow, Rocco Parisi, Max Rauchik, Gavin Komar, Lauren DeZolaris, Reese Hutchison, Trey Slocum, Camden Freemark, Hudson Rains Spencer, Lucas Wilkinson, Rocco Wilson, Aiden Masterson, Lucas Aola, Anthony Ditto, Austin Kaluza, Hunter Lay, Luke Holloway, Owen Brozo, Caleb Komar, Grayson Richardson, Matthew Watkins, Johnny Bahu, Carson Bell, Trent Mahalazik, Austin Berkmar, Noah Dug, Jonathan Solgott, Thomas Wickham, Blake Greenwald, Gavin Greenwald, Michael Eckerman, John Orton, Luke McIsaac, Luke Babcock, Cash Braska, Weston Buckley, Gavin Van Hall, and Drew Denkhouse. Just an outstanding group of young men that day in and day out competed extremely hard, extremely successful season. You don't go back-to-back in regional championships without putting the work in, and this group certainly put a 4 years in a row. You don't go 4 years in a row without putting a lot of hard work in. But certainly couldn't be prouder of this group. And gentlemen, thank you for all your hard work and efforts. Nope, just we got one more group here, so we'll bring you back up here in a second. And before we introduce our last group that we're going to recognize, I can tell you on behalf of all of our student athletes and all of our spring programs, just a big thank you to all concerned, our Board of Education, our central office, our teaching staff, from our custodians to our bus drivers, and our community. We're blessed to be in an extremely supportive community. And I can tell you that our kids are greatly appreciative for everybody in this community that makes Brighton a special place. So thank you on behalf of our spring student athletes. Good spring overall, a lot of great performances by our other spring teams. The board has that info in their packet, but the one thing that I will point out on behalf of all of our student athletes is 83.9% of all of our spring student athletes achieved scholar athlete status, which is a 3.0 GPA. So that's a pretty high number, and when I ask them to work hard, I ask them to work hard both in the classroom and in the sport they're participating in. And, like I said, our kids show up and they put it out there every day, both in the classroom and on the fields of play. So I couldn't be prouder of them. To wrap us up, I'm going to bring up another group that's been at this podium at the end of spring seasons for a number of years. That's our boys golf program, coached by Mr. James Dooling.
Good evening. Thank you for having us and recognizing a historic season by the Brighton Boys Golf Program. Our entire program is responsible for one of the best seasons in school history and Livingston County history. Players here with me, Brandon Lovejoy, Grady Bissett, Mitchell Stoll, and Easton Short, along with Adam Force here, who couldn't be here, make up the starting lineup for both the regional and the state finals teams. Along with Coach Goebel here and Coach Windrick, it's been a true privilege to represent such a group that sets so many records in Brighton. 20 players make up the whole program. 12 of those players have a scoring average in the 70s, which if you want to equate that to anything, it's about a 6 or 7 handicap. 4 of those players have a handicap that you would equate to scratch or 1. The team finished third in the recent state finals, number 1 amongst the public schools. They've played in the final pairing, which means they're a top 3 team in the state the last 4 of 5 years, meaning that they have been in the lead or close to the lead after the first day of the state finals. On the way to the state finals, they set Livingston County records for low tournament score of a 4 under score. Again, you play 5 players, you count 4 scores, which means you had an average there below even par. We set the Livingston County low regional score at Polo Fields in Ann Arbor, -2, 286. We set the low state final score for Livingston County at 292, and the low Livingston County score for a 2-day total of 595. In addition, they won the conference title for the 3rd time in 4 years. They won the regional title for back-to-back years, first time since 1997 and 1998. And the most impressive stat by this program and all of the golfers that make it up is that Brighton has finished now 3rd the last 4 or 5 years in the state, which equates to the same number of times in all of Brighton's history since 1952. So thank you for supporting Brighton golf and our athletics. It's truly a privilege to coach at Brighton.
And we're going to keep our golfers up here, and we're going to ask our other spring student athletes that are with us this evening to come on up.
Closer, get a better picture. We do. Yep. I don't know that they're here, but. Still do it. Ready for the next one? Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have another shining star this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President, Mrs. Marks, wherever you would like.
Okay, I'll just do from here. So we're going to recognize a couple of our auto tech students. This information comes from Mr. Delaney. Joe Mertes won second place in the automotive electrical competition at the Regional Skills USA competition, securing a spot to compete in the Michigan State Skills USA competition. And he won second place in the automotive electrical competition at the Regional Skills USA competition. Second student, Lowen Bott, won third place in the Master Tech competition at the Regional Skills USA competition, securing a spot to compete in the Michigan State Skills USA competition. Both of these students are closing out the school year with entry-level Master Technician certifications. With that, they both earn a G1 Maintenance and Light Repair Professional certification. Congratulations and well done to both of these. And I just want to thank Mr. Delaney. I was at a PTO meeting at the high school where he came and he talked about these particular students and all the great work that they're doing in auto tech, which is where this nomination comes from. So thanks, Mr. Delaney, and congratulations to both of these students.
Okay, next up, I am going to give a data report for the Board of Education. I'm going to swing around here to the side. Okay. I'm going to give a report for the Board of Education. The NWA is probably the second most important test after the M-STEP and the SAT, PSAT package across the district. We have testing twice a year. We do one time in the fall. We do one at the end of the winter, beginning of spring. And I'm going to go through some of the results with you here right now. First off, Brighton's NWA testing, we began doing this testing in 2018. It is a predictor. It is correlated with M-STEP scores. There is a relation to that that our teachers use when it comes to determining what instruction they're going to do, with what remediation that they're going to do for students, and how we identify gaps with our students as well. We do it in October. We also do it in March, and there are 3 scores here. We're going to have 2 of the 3 of these that we're going to focus on here tonight. But the RIT score is the raw score for terminology purposes. And tonight I'm going to report on achievement, which is how they compare against students across the nation. And the second is going to be growth. It's how they compare growth-wise against people across the nation. Are they growing at the same pace as others across the nation? One of the neat things about the NWA, which is different than the M-STEP and the PSAT, is that they get the results immediately. So it's very useful for our staff, for parents, and for our students. Students, parents, and staff all receive reports. Parents can find those on Parent Connect. And our teachers use this for instruction, remediation, skill development, our multi-tier system of supports, placement decisions, and on and on. We use the NWA scores significantly, particularly in 3rd through 8th grade. So let's take a look at our scores here. District-wide, when it comes to reading, we have 2023 through 2026. And you can see our trend here. 74, for example, for reading means that the median score across the entire school district puts us in the 74th percentile nationally. In math, it's blocked off a little bit here, but we did really well. Let me get that thing off the screen. So we were in the 77th percentile in math district-wide. At the elementary level, okay. Oh, All right, I'm going to come back over here because my clicker is not working. So, at the elementary level, you can see, or district-wide, here's our growth. When it comes to growth, 50th percentile means that we are growing at the same rate that we're growing as the students are supposed to grow as with their growth targets. So we are above the limit both in reading and in math across the nation. At the elementary level, again, we're doing very well. We're in the 70th percentile or above. Same thing in math. When it comes to growth, again, we're seeing really strong growth in comparison. We are outpacing the nation when it comes to growth. Anything above the 50th percentile is above the national trend. So you can see our scores here at the elementary level. At Maltby, again, we're in the 70s in reading. We're in the 80s when it comes to math. Outstanding scores. And again, we are outpacing the state when it comes to growth. We are growing at a faster pace than students across the nation. At Scranton, again, in reading, doing very well in the mid-70s. And then when it comes to math, there's a little bit more disaggregation because we have students that are at grade level math, we have students that are a grade ahead, and we have some that are 2 grades ahead. Again, scores are very strong, anywhere from the 70s up all the way through the 99th percentile for certain groupings of our students. When it comes to growth, again, we are above national trend in every single area across the entire district. And high school does not do the NWA test, so it ends at 8th grade. In the spring, our students take the MSTEP, and they also take the SAT and PSAT. We will have a report for the board. I'll do my annual strategic plan report in August. And typically the scores from the state for the PSAT and MSTEP are embargoed until somewhere close to September. Once the embargo ends, we'll have a report for the board on how we did on our state testing. So are there any questions from the Board of Education?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. If you want to go back to maybe a couple of those slides, I just want to point out to the public so they can look at the cohorts, because I think it's important to note that we're seeing growth in cohorts too. So if you look at 7th grade in 25 and follow that to 8th grade in 26, that's the same group of kids, and you're still seeing them grow. So congratulations to the staff. I know that's been something that everyone's been really focused on, but I think that's very important to note. It's static when you look at the grade, but 7th grade, 7th grade, 7th grade, those are different students. 7th grade to 8th grade, 6th grade to 7th grade, those are the same students, and we're seeing them grow as they move through the district, which is what we want, so.
Great point. Ms. Zerbe.
You had mentioned they take the test in October and March. Are these averaged between October and March, or are they for October, for March?
Yeah. We look at the spring as the iteration that we're using here is the second one. But no, so everything here is spring. So this would be the late February to March test window. Any other questions, comments from the board? Okay, so I'm going to bring forward Mr. Jones for the budget hearing.
All right, so budget hearing for fiscal years 26 and 27. So this year, in our budget process, we held 2 public meetings to go through all the factors in the budget for both fiscal year 26 and 27. So I'm going to go through here in my hearing is all the highlights of everything that we went over in those 2 meetings. So the first meeting, we held a budget workshop on May the 27th, where I went through all the budget numbers for fiscal year 26 because they were complete. It showed a excess revenues over expenses for the general operating fund of about $620,000, which would give the district a projected fund balance of just under $22.3 million, or 17.5% of our operating expenses. I also went through food service, which had actually excess expenses of just over $300,000. The reason for that is because we have an excess fund balance. We must spend that fund balance down to get to an appropriate level. So that was basically done by purchasing capital equipment that was needed throughout the district. The community ed, the amount of money that the general fund was subsidizing for community education was at $485,000, and student activity account activity was about $1.9 million. At that workshop,
Dave, can you just real quick clarify for the public what the student activity fund is used for?
so those are, student activity fund accounts are used for dollars that are fundraising dollars that the students raise that they then can spend on whatever projects they spend the dollars for. So there's fundraising accounts at the schools, and there are also fundraising accounts that go through athletics.
So just under 2 million is raised by students for use within the district?
That is correct. Also at that budget workshop, then part two of that budget workshop was to go through the budget assumptions for fiscal year 2027. At this point in time, we do not have a ratified state budget, so we just have projections that come from the state. And so at this point in time, since we have to have a budget passed by June 30th, we need to put a whole lot of assumptions into that budget. So we went through what those assumptions are. To begin with, the per pupil foundation amount for next year that we use in the budget is $10,300. The amount this year is $10,050. It's a $250 increase, or about 2.5%. All three legislative bodies, their proposed budget that has been published, all three had $10,300. So I kind of felt pretty comfortable to use that amount. As far as the number of enrollment FTEs, we saw about a 1.2% increase based upon our models for next year in our total number of FTEs. I also want to point out that since the district did not opt into the 31 AA security and mental health grant in 26, I did not put anything in the budget for 27. Staffing levels come from human resources, gives me whatever they're planning right now for classes for next year, which teachers are going to be in which classrooms for next year. So I use that for my staffing. On the community education side, we talked about, we've had a lot of initiatives that the programs have put into place to improve their financial performance. And then for student nutrition, I built the budget next year. All three state budgets include the state continuing to fund for meals for students. And we also added some extra budget dollars for the fresh meals preparation, which would entail one more staff member and some supplies. We also talked about, there are a few known factors at this point in time. We do know we're in the middle of a 3-year bargaining agreement, so the increase for next year is 2.5%. Healthcare cap rates, those have been published. There will be a 3% increase in the healthcare cap, but that is effective on January 1st. So the impact to our budget for next year is a 1.5% increase. And then the retirement rates, which are published by the state, where we contribute funds for our staff retirement, are basically very consistent with last year's amount, so there should not be a significant change in the amount of retirement as a percentage of salaries. And then we also spent some time talking about our capital planning. So then we had a second public meeting, which was our Finance Committee meeting, which I'm going to call an enhanced Finance Committee meeting because all board members were invited. At that point in time, we actually had actual numbers for fiscal 27 because at the workshop, it was too early for me to have actual numbers for 27. So we went through those numbers. So the excess revenues over expenses for the general fund operations in 27 has a budget of $2,062,000 excess revenue. That would give the district a projected fund balance of about $24.4 million, or about 19.1% of our operating expenses. On the community education side, the subsidy budgeted for next year is $249,000, which is a pretty significant decrease from the 26 amount of $485,000 based upon all their initiatives. The student nutrition side, they actually will have a little bit excess expenditures instead of revenue because as we continue to work down the fund balance to keep it at an appropriate level. The state requires that you can only hold 3 months of your average expenses in your fund balance to be in compliance, and we're working to get to that level. Also in their package, we talked about our capital projects fund, which will have a net outflow of about $2.9 million next year, which would leave a balance of about $3.1 million. And then the student activity accounts, I put in a little bit of an increase, and so I'm projecting about just short of $2 million. We were, 26 was about 1.9, I put in 1.975. So, and then, so tonight we have presented the resolution for 5 budgets to be approved: the general fund, the food service fund, our community education fund, student activities, and capital projects fund. Are there questions?
Andy? And there'll be opportunities, it's obviously an action item, there'll be opportunities for further discussion at
Want
that
to
point.
wait? I'm fine
It's-
waiting.
No, it's fine to ask questions.
Whatever works.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay, I have a bunch of questions. Okay, so first off, thank you, Dave. And by the way, I've mentioned this to you before in person, one-on-one, but for the benefit of the public, Dave has just been an incredible collaborator for the whole board and for many members of the community, and we're all going to miss you, Dave. You've been just a great addition, and you really have done a wonderful job supporting us, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Last meeting we had a week ago, we had a good discussion around Tot Spot, and in the spirit of just understanding the data for the benefit of the public. This almost looks like a balance sheet. I give you the page number, 54, because it balances. And I was under the impression that the Tot Spot program runs at a net loss, and we, as a district, subsidize the program. And so I see the contribution from the general fund of 57.9.
Yes,
Is that the expected total of district contribution?
Yes.
To Tot Spot?
yes.
Okay,
And can I add something to that?
please.
So in that budget, we have included, they have requested to have a security guard next year at Tot Spot. So there's $45,000 in there for a security guard. If the district chooses to opt into 31AA funds, there are excess funds in the way we have used our 31AA funds in the past, that it could actually cover that security guard. So I just wanted to point that out. because-
So if I'm interpreting the data correctly, total revenues from the program are projected to be 3.7 million in the next budget. And there's 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars of salaries associated with providing the child care service.
Correct.
What is the $801,000 of benefits?
That would be retirement, FICA, Social Security, and healthcare.
So for someone who's providing child care at Tot Spot, we as a district are paying for, or at least contributing to retirement for those employees?
Yes.
Because I thought in the last meeting, the reason I'm asking that question is I thought it mentioned that we have a very difficult time recruiting people for these positions, and there's lots of turnover, and it's one of the reasons why we have allowed the district to pay for the child care of employees who work at Tot Spot and bring their children to Tot Spot to receive child care, essentially for free or subsidized by the district. So we have long tenured employees who we're paying retirement benefits to, district retirement benefits to, that are part of the program? Okay. And the benefits are $800,000 a year.
Correct.
How many employees, roughly, rough numbers?
You know, Jacob, I'm sorry, I don't know the
Doesn't have to
number.
be exact. 40,
I was
80,
going to say, yeah.
roughly 80? Okay.
Yeah, so roughly around 80. They do have collection of full-time and part-time, but I would
Okay.
put it around there.
And then the purchase services, what's the 1.28 or 1.3 million of purchase services?
Contracted staff. So we have both employed staff and edu staff employees at Tot Spot.
And why do we hire contracted staff?
I think just because to fill the position.
And just, Jake, I don't want this to be a loaded question.
Yeah.
If we don't have the resources to provide childcare with the full-time staff that we have, wouldn't we just reduce the amount of available capacity versus paying a third-party contractor to provide resources to the district?
To explain the contract, the contracted staff is through EDGE staff, so the same one that we run our subs through. And so when I got here, it's been this way for quite a while, but essentially when the Hotspot employees get hired, they actually get a choice whether to be a BAS employee and pay into ORS, and the district pays into ORS, or they can choose to be an EDGE staff employee, which means they don't pay into ORS. So their take-home's a little greater, but they're not getting a retirement behind that. So it's part of their choice, but they're the same, they're not contracted like through a different agency, they're just, they choose to go through EDGE staff. We just have to call them contracted because they're not hired by BAS. We hire them.
And what are the
through there.
other expenses? Is 62,500, it's like,
That is
It's
the
significant,
fees
yeah.
we pay for having online payment.
fees we pay for having online payment?
Yes, there's a
Like AC.
fee in order to have an online program, so parents can just go in online and pay their tuition. There's a fee that comes with that.
Okay. Have we ever explored passing the fee on to the parents in lieu of them providing ACH?
Starting next year, the parents will pay. Actually, so
Because you don't,
No, I
you
can
don't have
accept-
to pay the fee, just provide ACH
Right.
and then we don't have to pay a processing fee.
So we are actually converting the software to an upgraded version of the current software that we're using. We're going to an upgraded version. That upgraded version has, there's a set fee that the district has to pay in order to rent that software. But when it comes to the fees for the parents, if they do a debit card or ACH, there are no fees. There's only fees if they use a credit card, and those fees will be passed on to the parents starting next year.
So just before we move off of Hotspot, I'm curious from the other members of the board, I mean, is there anyone, I would advocate that the Brighton area schools doesn't belong in the childcare business, like to provide daycare to people in the community. There's other people who administer daycare programs better than a public school. Does anyone else share that sentiment, or does most of the board members feel that we should, as a district, continue to be in the daycare business?
I don't disagree. I think that it's a service that we provide and have, and, yeah, any business wouldn't run in a deficit year after year after year in anything they do. However, this is a program, you know, that helps people in our district one way or another. But I mean, I just want to make mention of that because that's why it was done. However, I agree, we can't continue to be in deficit on everything that we do.
And even setting the deficit aside, and I want to remember the number, Dave, you shared in the last meeting, the district, even assuming a break-even budget per se, that is inclusive of the district providing how much money in 2026?
You're talking about the employee
Current
discount?
budget, current budget,
The
yep,
discount?
yep.
The employee discount was about $180,000.
So $180,000 of funds that would otherwise go to students is going to subsidize daycare of the employees of the daycare.
That is correct, and we are, our plan is over the next 2 years to reduce that down, to bring it more into what the other childcare centers around us are offering. We do offer the richest amount.
Okay. Others? Alicia?
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say that I do think it's good for us to have a daycare program. There is not enough daycare in the county, so there would be a massive hole if we were to discontinue this. The other thing is, we are in the business of education. We are educating the youngest of children. We're starting them here. We're starting the Brighton Bulldogs early. So by getting them into these programs, we're bringing them into our school district early. So I think it's really important that we do have it.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you view it as more of a recruiting, like it's a recruiting mechanism to help draw students to our district at a young age?
I wouldn't call that the primary reason for it. That's just a factor in it. I think the primary reason is we are in the business of educating children. This is part of the education process.
Daycare,
Daycare.
okay.
As you know, I've had some grave concerns over this program running in a deficit. I believe that if we can't by next year get it in the black without any subsidizing from the K-12 budget to this, then we should get out of the business. When I started looking into this, I said, okay, I don't think we can get out of the business immediately because there just is, it's a fact, there is a lack of daycare, and if we did it with short notice, it would put a lot of families in this community in a bad position. But I think that it is fair to say if we don't get it in the black by next year, I would be in favor of discontinuing daycare. And I agree it's a benefit to people in this community, but it's only a benefit to the people in this community who are lucky enough to get a slot in Tot Spot. It is not and it's not means tested. So it's not like somebody who can't afford it is getting the subsidy. It is literally whoever is lucky enough to get a spot here, and I just don't think that's fair. But I do believe they've made a lot of strides to getting this in the black, and I believe by next year they will. But, I mean, fair notice, if it's not in the black by next year, I will be, looking into this more, potentially voting to discontinue a program. If we cannot run it, it is a break even. We don't necessarily have to make a profit, but the money that the state gives us for K-12 education does not need to subsidize people who are just lucky enough to get a spot.
So just for some perspective, and
Hold on, let's see if does anybody else have any comment? I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity, yeah.
I just want to make one comment. I appreciate everyone, and I agree. I would like to see it break even. This is not the only program in the district that we subsidize. So before we start picking on Tot Spot over and above other things, I think we need to look at it globally.
let's look at all of them. I'm on board.
If we're doing this, then I think we need to have a comprehensive view of the entire budget, so.
And what do you feel is the appropriate process to do that? Because I thought the workshop, Jennifer, was going to be intended for that, and as we all know, it was not.
Well, I
So
would like to,
what's
I
the
mean, I'll just
mechanism to do
reiterate
that?
Mr. Bain's comments that I do think we're making strides in some of these areas where we have consistently been subsidizing those dollars, and as a group, and I think thanks to our business department, they are trying to meet that and working toward a break-even format so that but we have to give a little time. I think I'd like to see a little grace given to see if we can meet that before we overly aggressively go after some of the programs that we have been subsidizing for decades, really, at this point. So that's my opinion.
That was my question, is it seems like this is not something that is new in terms of the subsidies, like this has been occurring for many, many years, correct? So I share Dr. Krebs' sentiments of the importance of having, education for these younger kids. When we went outdoor knocking, there was a lot of people who said that that was a problem in the area, that there wasn't daycare. Also, I am not a fan of obviously subsidizing, but I was fortunate enough to meet with Mr. Jones and walk through some of that plan, and I feel comfortable that by next year, we will be breaking even for that program. So along with Mrs. Mark's comments, we should look at all of them and make sure that none of them are having any different type of special lens on it than others. So that's my perspective.
You want to say, Roger?
Sure, and I share the sentiment that has been expressed. I mean, I think to the point that's been made, I mean, this has been something that's been going on for decades. As we started drilling down into where we could shore up the budget here in the past year or two, and we've had conversations during the Finance Committee looking at community ed. To me, this proposed budget is a remarkable step forward to that endeavor. We're absolutely headed towards probably a break-even or surplus next year. I mean, to put it in perspective, this year it's $57,900 that's proposed to be transferred from the general fund out of a $3.76 million budget. So, you're talking about now like 1% approximately. And to Mr. Jones's point, of that 57,000, 45,000 of it is for a security officer that will be covered by 31AA if ultimately once the state.
And if we weren't in the business, we would need to provide the security officer, right?
Correct, for sure, yeah. So, and then obviously with the other expenses, being the fee for the third-party service provider for the credit card, I mean, just those two changes alone are gonna put them in the black. next year. So I feel very good about what has been done by the administration, and Dave, kudos to you for, working your team and
Can I just step up? The leadership at Totspot has been absolutely top-notch. I pointed this out to them. Before me even reaching out to them, they had come to me with a program on how to alleviate this. So they are all over this. They recognize it, and they have done a really, really good job of making a lot of changes that are positive. So it wasn't, I pointed it out, but they're the ones who did the work.
Well, and kudos to them as
Yes.
well for working
Yes.
with the administration
Yep.
to make that happen. So, Mr. Stahl?
Mr. Jones, my question is this, I think I kind of alluded to this the last time we talked about this. Is there some type of a business plan that, and maybe it means increasing fees that wouldn't make, I know that, I've got 3 kids. I know that daycare is expensive. Some of us choose to go to some people's house, some of us choose to go to daycare centers, some of us bring in family members. There are ways to, get around it, but is there really, are we giving such a significant price that that's why we're running in the deficit? And wouldn't just raising the prices maybe solve the problem as well? And is that a possibility?
So this budget includes a 12% price increase over the
It does.
current rates.
Okay.
So
And that's kinda
there
hard
are
to get.
multiple tiers to the program to get this back into a break-even or better operation.
We're still below market.
That's what I was gonna be my next question. We'd still be below market. So, okay. That answers the
So, I'm sorry, just so your basic point, yes, there is a business plan that, and a way that we can get this to the point financially that you need it to be.
So Ms. Marks mentioned that there's, in addition to Totspot, other programs that the district is subsidizing. Dave, again, I'm not asking you for an exact number, but for the benefit of the public, in the proposed new budget, roughly, what is the level of subsidy that we as a district are providing to these other programs in total, if you were to just give a general number?
Approximately $200,000.
Approximately $200,000. So I brought with me tonight, based on this conversation, an email that I received from a parent. Some of you may, I know some folks in the audience were here when we talked about the choir field trip. And during that conversation, I actually asked, are we as a district sure that the children who are involved in band and choir that want to go on the field trip have the opportunity to do so? Their family finances aren't impeding them from being able to go on the field trip. And a mother was kind enough to send me an email, and I won't mention her name. It's public information, but I won't mention her name. And she mentioned, I'll read her email, during the meeting you posed a question, is the cost of the trip so prohibitive that students can't attend? And the answer for our family is yes. Even with doing fundraising, my son was unable to go on the trip to Spain last year, and we are unsure if we'll be able to send our other son on this upcoming trip. So I feel very strongly, and I'm, again, making this known publicly, that I think it's a shame we as a district are involved in any program that is not teaching in a classroom. We all have a varying opinion on what daycare is. I personally don't believe that daycare, a public school, has any business being in the daycare business. So I would much rather see our district take funds that we have today and allow students who are in choir and band to go on an international field trip. I've shared before, I was in the band when I was in high school, and I think it's a disgrace that we as a district allow this to continue. So my recommendation is that we would immediately stop subsidizing the programs, shift the dollars to the students who are currently enrolled in our district, and put the onus on those leading these programs to either achieve break even or better. So dollars that are supposed to go to students, not to pay for the daycare of employees who are working at a daycare center the district subsidizes.
Mr. Stahl?
I'd just like to mention, I like the idea of that, but you're really just shifting money that we're helping some people with to another spot doing the same thing. And don't get me
They're
wrong, if we
students-
had the
they're
money to
students
do
of
it,
the
I'd do it for
district.
everybody.
They're students of the district.
Agreed, but we all, that class, the first thing they tell you is there is a trip that you will be required to either raise money for or pay for if you can have the means to do it. It's not like it's a surprise.
So you wouldn't support allocating dollars?
No,
to
I would
abandoned
absolutely support it if it was, we're in the education business and we're in the, we're also in a public school where we have to equity for everybody. So, if it's done evenly, I would say that's a great idea. I think if it's not, we're getting ourselves into trouble. But no, I
Dr. Arlo,
applaud
did you-
any way that we could do it.
Do you want to weigh in on this issue of the?
I just briefly, I wanted to clarify that Totspot is a preschool. Early childhood education is the foundation of everything. It's one of the most important things that we do. And it doesn't start in kindergarten. It starts long before, which is why the state's investing in it. So I know there is.
It's actually investing in it because they don't want children to be at home with their parents. They
I would
want They want the
disagree.
school to take care of their children from when they're a year old, 12 months old, to when they get out of high school at 19.
And maybe policymakers are going down that pathway, but I'm going
We
to
are.
tell you as an educator for 30 years, early childhood education is the single most important investment we can make in education. And Totspot is a preschool and early childhood center. So I just want to qualify that. I think breaking even is a great target. We're 12,000 away from it if you take out our security person. I think they've done a great job, but let's not underestimate the great education that's going on there. It is not a daycare center, it's a preschool center. So, thank you.
It's not a daycare center, but we're paying as a district for the employees of the daycare to bring their children there to get daycare, but it's not a daycare center.
Mr. Bain, anything further regarding this or another topic? We
I
can move
have
along.
a quick comment on this and another question about some of the other programs. But just to be clear on this, I guess it depends on your definition of early childhood education, because it does start in the infants. I mean, we are not starting in 3-year-old preschool, and 4-year-old preschool, which the state is investing in. It does start in infant. I was around, my oldest child was starting first grade when the Miller building was closed as kindergarten, and that's the first year they opened up infant care, because when they moved kindergarten to the other buildings, they had space to open up infant care. So it's not been around for as many decades as people believe. It was 3- and 4-year-old preschool until 2010, 2011 is when infant care started. And that was because they now had the space. So just being clear, I personally don't consider 0 through 3 as early childhood education. I do think it's daycare, but I think we can all, it doesn't matter. The point is that we are subsidizing for childcare, whether it's early education or not, we are subsidizing childcare. And again, if it was means tested and the most needy families were getting the subsidies, I might be more interested in this, but it's literally whoever is lucky enough to get a spot. But I have a question on a couple of these other programs. So the BCPA and the Bull Sharks look like they're running in significant black. But as we've discussed before, a lot of this is educational resource, so we still haven't broken that out in the budget.
Actually, I have a general sense for the BCPA on how much is educational and how much is for shows.
Okay.
And approximately $95,000 to $100,000 of the BCPA deficit can be attributed to time spent with students.
Okay. And I think the same for the pool. I mean, when the pool's being used for athletics and things,
Yes.
that is different than the pool being rented out or used for seniors to swim in the morning.
Yep.
And then on the senior center, we're also running a deficit. And, I also want to see that in the black, but I know we had some significant pushback from members of the public that said, wait, our seniors are paying taxes on this. Why should they have to pay for the senior center? But I think for me, the same argument runs true. Our general fund is for K-12 education
Agreed.
kids, regardless of if we're at the front end or the back end.
I completely agree.
I just want to make sure that I make that point public. I believe it's the same thing.
I work professionally in the preparation of teachers, and I can say that the state has added a birth to K
birth to 3-year-old certification program. So this is definitely education related. There is work, I don't personally work on that, I'm middle school, high school math, but there is certification that needs to be, that is required for teaching that. The other comment I was going to make about the Hotspot Senior Center and the others is that if you look at where we were last year, 2 years ago, they've been making progress. I don't think you can just pull out the rug and say, it's got to be done overnight. We've made significant steps, they're moving in the right direction, and I think we have to acknowledge this and give them time to get it right. I don't think it happens overnight. I think your own budget, you know, this is just something that you can't do overnight. You need to work on it. And I feel like they've been making significant progress, and I'm interested in seeing how they continue to do that.
Dave?
Yes.
Regarding the budget, how, have we ever in your tenure here had a budget, new proposed budget, where the expenditures were less than the prior budget? Total expenditures?
Or less?
Yes.
I don't think so, without actually looking. I mean, right off the bat, you have salary increases based upon our bargaining unit contracts that they get not only a percentage, but they get steps. So it would be really, we would be cutting programs if it went down.
So I'd asked you for some data, and I will just share it for the benefit of the public. I asked Dave to pull data from 2020 to 2026. Elementary salaries are up 63% since 2020. That's a 63% increase in aggregate dollars spent on elementary salaries. Middle school salaries are up 75% since 2020. High school salaries in the proposed, or through the 2026 budget, up 64%. Special education salaries up 35%. All other salaries, which is a category that we use in our budget, up 40% since 2020. When you look at some of the non-salary but benefit-related accounts, retirement is up 68% since 2020. It went from 15 million to 25.7 million. Health insurance is up 44%. Shared services contract expense went from 1.3 million in 2020 to 3.5 million in 2026. That's up 165%. The EduStaff maintenance, that went from 1.5 million in 2020 to 2.1 million in 2026. That's up 36%. And the transportation contract resources that the district has an expenditure for is up 29% since 2020. So I recall prior to the bond, we had had some conversations as a board about looking critically at our 2027 budget to take cost out of the budget, to be able to allocate funds for needs, capital expenditures in our district. And I'm just wondering, for those that are involved in the finance committee, where did we take money out of the proposed 2027 budget as compared to 2026? Where were the reductions captured?
The biggest reduction was in capital outlay.
So we went to CapEx and took money from the proposed capital outlay?
No, you're thinking of the capital project, are you thinking of the capital projects fund?
Yes.
No, there are two components to capital. One is the capital projects fund. The other is there is capital outlay that is part of our general fund operating budget. Okay, the amount of capital spent in 2026 as opposed to 2027 was about, I want to say about a $700,000 decrease.
And what would those funds be used for, Dave?
What do you mean?
Capital outlay versus CapEx?
So what the capital outlay that goes through the general fund is used for are more of what you would consider a routine capital. For example, in most all the schools, they have a program where each year they need to replace furniture in the classroom, chairs, tables, things like that, as things get older. So we set aside money in the capital outlay under general fund for them to pay for that. We've put money in for athletics, because there's always things in athletics that need to be fixed, from, sound system, there's always stuff going on. We put amounts in for that. Maintenance will get a general amount because they need things like, snow removal machines, and, so those are what I call routine operating capital, those come out of the general fund. It's the big one-timers that go through the fund that you're talking
So
about.
the biggest reduction, if I'm interpreting, I'm asking this for
Yes.
confirmation, so the biggest reduction that the Finance Committee initiated, 26 versus 27, the biggest reduction came from the capital outlay fund, which is used to buy things like desks and furniture in
Yes.
classrooms.
Yes, yes. And that, it fluctuates every year because it's all based on needs and what's come up and, you know, we've actually, it kind of ebbs and flows, and the last couple of years have been pretty rich because things have come up that we've needed. So next year, right now, there's not a lot in the plan to be spent.
So roughly 600,000 to 700,000?
Something like that, yeah.
So
I can look, yeah, I mean,
Under, significantly under like a 0.5% then of the total budget?
yeah, total budget's about 128 million.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the additional spending at each of the different levels? Have we also increased our staffing? We're not looking at like an individual person who has like a 68% increase in their salary from 2020, but we've hired more medical assistants, we've
So-
hired counselors, we've hired.
So in the span of those 7 years that we're talking about, our enrollment has gone up about 27%.
And our staff then has to go up.
So staff has to go up
Thank
with
you.
it, yes, so yes. And there's also, the contract increases each year, and everybody gets steps each year too, so that's all factored in.
And that includes, to Dr. Krebs's point, that all includes the shared services program,
Correct.
right?
These
So as
are
the
all
shared-
totals, yes.
Right, and the shared services program has
Yes.
grown every
Yes.
year for the last 7 years, and
Yes.
as a consequence, the staffing to support that has grown every year to support that as well.
Which feeds
So-
the growth in retirement, which feeds the growth in healthcare.
Exactly.
And FICA, yes.
Right, so.
We're not showing the revenue side on this. This is purely just
This is just
expenses, which
expense.
isn't really a
Right.
fair
Yes.
assessment of where we're at, so.
So
And-
we're-
and-
it's not a fair assessment that the expenditures went up for elementary salaries 63%. We're saying, we feel as a board, you feel as a board member that seeing the elementary salaries go up 63% since 2020 makes sense?
No, the salaries did
That's
not
not
go
what I
up
said.
63%.
That's not what we're talking
The
about.
number of staffing went up, the
Roger,
costs associated with it.
This is the data from
Right,
Dave.
yeah.
You're
And so
looking at it in an aggregate
I'm not
without the other
disputing that.
side.
I'm not disputing that.
But
I'm not
what you said was
disputing that.
wrong. You said the salaries,
Salaries in 2020 for elementary was 11,100,000. In 2026, it was 18.1 million.
The number of people is different.
My question to you was, you feel with the student growth that we've had as a district, you feel elementary students should have gone up 63% in 5 to 6 years?
to support the growth of 700 additional FTEs, absolutely. And every year, we've been in the
How many of
black.
the 2,700 FTEs were elementary students?
I mean, I don't know the exact, I mean, you break it down by, I mean, it's across the board. All of those numbers, elementary, middle school, they're all built into that aggregate number.
So from the finance committee's perspective then, where did you see opportunity to take cost out of the proposed budget that we're discussing tonight? So kind
Well-
of give you a chance to share.
Community ed's one.
Community
I mean,
ed?
That's one. Talked about the capital spending that we talked about. We've looked at some of the other budgets within the different departments. I mean, we've had presentations during the various committee meetings.
Like what budgets?
Like the athletic budget, for example, with all of the, and we spent a significant amount
What
of
was the
time.
reduction in athletics in the new budget versus 2026? How much money did the finance committee suggest?
I don't know that, well, first of all, transportation costs are going up for fuel. I mean, fuel's through the roof.
Okay.
So, there's fluctuations that have to be accounted for within that. So, I mean, you can't look at something in a specific vacuum. I mean,
Well, I mean,
in terms.
athletic budget's pretty straightforward. Why can't we look at, it's
No, but
not.
my point is to say, we're gonna cut athletic budget this year. We're gonna ride everyone else out. What we looked at a holistic approach, where we looked at
I
all of
was
the
asking
different.
you where the
Yeah.
finance committee cut costs, cut expense, and you suggested the athletic budget, so I asked where.
No, I didn't say that we cut from the athletic budget.
didn't.
I said we cut from, or looked at cutting, and actually has been proposed for cutting for community ed and the capital that we talked about. We looked at the overall athletic, the budget, the pay scale for the coaches. And quite frankly, I think in some situations, we were under market with some of the compensation with our coaching staff. So it didn't seem as a group that, we're going to start slashing like salaries, for example, for coaches when we're already, under
What
market.
about athletic offerings?
What about athletic offerings?
Yeah. I mean, I got an email from Jake suggesting that there was an opening for an equestrian coach in the athletic department. I love horses. My children take riding lessons. I mean, but
We're offering those positions. We're not cutting those positions.
that's what my question was. So in the
No,
spirit of
I don't think
trying
it's a
to-
good idea to cut opportunity programming in the athletic. That doesn't,
No.
I don't think so. I mean, if so you're saying we should cut the equestrian program?
Well,
Is that what you're-
no, what I'm saying is we should look critically at our budget for avenues to take expense out versus continually year after year having our budget increase. I'm asking, what did the finance committee, what avenues of opportunity did the finance committee explore to take cost out of the budget?
And we did that, and we've obviously got a budget that puts us at a surplus greater than or equal to or greater than what we've been consistently having for the past several years.
How about band and orchestra? Were there any funds allocated for band and orchestra in addition to what was in the prior 2026 budget? How were those funds allocated?
I mean, I don't have the breakdown of the, I mean, it's not our job as the board to go line item by line item for thousands of line items of each individual. I mean, that's not our job, Andy. I mean, we looked at the
We
budget.
get aggregate data, I mean,
Yeah.
as a board from the administration, and we have a pretty good line of sight into what.
Yeah, and
we're
I think
spending.
he's done an outstanding job. I mean, I really do. I mean, he's targeted the areas where there could be improvement.
So what are the
There's
top
been
three
meaningful
things in that,
changes.
when the finance committee looked at the 2027 budget, what are like the top 3 areas that the finance committee looked critically to take cost out?
First of all, I just want to say, as a finance committee, we looked at the budget mostly on the aggregate. We did do some deep dives into community ed and athletics. We have other things potentially on the docket to look at on a deep dive. But we did, there are some areas where, Dr. Outlaw even and Dave Jones suggested some savings. We had some retirements, like of our behavioral support person, and we didn't replace them. So there are some things that, we looked at that said, okay, this might have been a good idea. It's not necessarily providing the return that we want. But again, we looked at this mostly on an aggregate. In the deep dives so far this year were athletics and community ed. There are other things we want to continue to look at. But the reality is on an aggregate, we're still under budget in this budget resolution that's being proposed. We want to get better and tighter next year as well so that we can continue potentially putting more into the capital projects fund, because there may be a need if we don't go out for a bond in the next few years. There may be additional needs, so we want to keep looking at that. But the reality is right now we are very well balanced in this budget.
Terrific.
And so that's why I am supporting the budget, but there are certainly things I agree with you that we should continue to look at. But right now, it's about whether we're going to pass a resolution for a balanced budget.
Good. Well, I'm thrilled to hear that most of the board, it sounds like, feels that the financial health of the district is strong. Everyone's nodding their head and feels good about the budget as proposed. No drastic cuts have been initiated by members of the finance committee. You mentioned behavioral health. In our packet tonight, the Livingston County Education Authority's budget is here. And it's interesting, if you look at it, and it's available to the public, administrative office staff, full-time equivalent for administrative office staff is 77 and a half heads. 77 and a half.
Can we talk about
111 for early childhood.
Let's stay on task.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
because that's on
But
the agenda.
this is kind of a similar situation where dollars are not flowing to students, and they should be.
And I will say there are some areas that, had we passed a bond and not as worried about some of the immediate capital funds in the next 5 years, I would have liked to explore in this budget, one being athletic uniforms. we say we're not pay to play, but we don't actually provide uniforms for any sport in this district. And so a kid, if they can't fundraise and they can't afford it, they don't get a uniform, they can't play. So there are things that I would have liked to have increased a little bit or taken off the burden of parents to pay for. But right now, I don't feel like we're in a position to do so because we do have some capital things that we will have to address in the next 5 years.
Well, if we're all comfortable, or at least other members of the board are comfortable subsidizing the budget as described, and some feel it will take years to resolve, then I think what you've just described is probably tolerable, because there's not a ton of motivation to address some of the areas where there's immediate opportunity to take blatant waste and cost out of our budget. Paying $66,000 a year in credit card fees when you can literally charge the fee to parents or have them use ACH?
That's not what that is.
What is it?
That's the actual fee we have to pay in order to have the software.
So get rid of the software. Like,
And people can't pay online.
what do you mean? Can't pay online.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go with another program, but you're still
You
gonna
can buy
pay
a
a
little
fee.
box on Amazon tonight and tap a credit card and collect the payment through an iPhone tonight. I know because I use it in real life. It's super simple.
So the point is the amount of expense that's in there is the program that we use charges just an annual fee in order to use that program.
What a great business.
That's what that fee is.
All right. Anything further unrelated to what's already been discussed? All right, then that concludes the budget hearing portion of the superintendent report. That moves us to the call to the public, moves us to the call. We're gonna, it's in the call to the public, we're gonna be.
Public hearing. Public speak during the public hearing. Yes.
All right, you can, that's fine.
I have some questions.
Well, this is the, I mean, you can make comments, it's not.
You're entitled to speak.
Yeah, I didn't say they wouldn't, but it's not, yeah, it's not gonna be, go ahead. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be a question and answer.
But at a public hearing, we still need to follow our procedures that they have to fill out a card and they get 3 minutes.
Public hearing. It's not a board meeting.
Public hearing is for the public. You cannot put a limit on the public's voice. This is a democratic.
Well, we're providing you the opportunity. If you want to speak, please go to the podium.
Why don't you pull the cards and tell us who's...
All right, Dave, would you grab the cards?
That's another time.
No, let's just go. That's a good idea. We'll go with the cards.
Oh, that's... So
This is not called to the public.
Okay. The call of the public comes later? Yes. Okay. Well, then I'm just going to go ahead. At the May 27th meeting, Dave Jones presented budget proposals containing excess revenues described by one board member as declined to be used in the 25 to 26 budget year for needed repairs. In order to increase leverage for the bond proposal vote. General fund targets discussion proposed increasing the minimum proposed reserves from 1 million to 1.5 million, but didn't distinguish between targeted purposes, where 2 budget categories were mentioned for unforeseen events or capital improvements fund. No specific reason was given for the increase in today's climate of taxpayer fatigue and with existing unspent funds available. Jennifer Marks mentioned the need for savings for future needs, but specified no targeted specific fund for those savings to be placed, and asked an unanswered question: how do we save the $2.5 million for a roof needed 2 to 3 years in the future? That wasn't addressed. She also questioned where to find info regarding ceiling tile replacement costs and was told by Dave Jones that info's not here, but on his laptop. She proposed multiple small savings in each part of the district, which produced little or no discussion and no commitments from the board. And overall, the workshop meeting produced no appreciable progress toward the goal of hammering out budget improvements for the coming year. Andy Storm stated he supports breaking even and eliminating deficit spending on community ed. Roger Meyer countered that statement, saying it is common policy to support community ed and the senior center. That was his exact quote. Storm mentioned that the deficit from Tot Spot alone would cover the desperately needed wellhead for Hilton Elementary. Total community ed deficit is estimated, as was stated at that meeting, at $500,000. Storm inquired as to the financial health of the Bridge High School program, and Dave Jones said that he doesn't have that but can prepare it. Shouldn't these figures be readily available for a supposed budget workshop? At the June 1st Finance Committee meeting, open to all members, Mrs. Orbain proposed a stipend of $1,000 per teacher for state-required letters training. She justified this by mentioning Detroit and Waterford offering their teachers $5,000 for 160 hours of out-of-the-classroom work over a 2-year period. They work 9.5 months of the year. So I believe that should be expected and not offered a bonus when the tax-paying public has said no to increases. I am here to say we should delay any increases that aren't absolutely essential for maintenance until the public can support it. There was an April spike in the inflation rate, jumped to 3.8%, producing panic in the news cycle, and yet this board assumes that higher increases in some categories are acceptable. The working poor are struggling to pay for food and fuel. Now is the time for economizing. And requiring cutting or eliminating deficits in all departments. If subsidizing daycare in the future, income qualifications for the needy should be applied. I've attended meetings on the 11th of May, the 27th of May, the 1st of June, and overall, presentations of the budget for the coming year and changes proposed have been incomplete, evasive, and too slushy to even qualify as being called slush funds. This is my opinion. Much can be saved by specificity, I like Andy Storm's directness, and an eye to economizing on behalf of taxpayers. I disagree strongly with Mr. Meyer's statement today that it is not our job as a board to go line by line item by line item to analyze the budget. That is specifically the board's job. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Dave, I had a question.
We're receiving your comments, Mr. Connolly.
These are questions. This is open meeting.
If you have
Roger, I
comments-
think you're going to find this Open Meetings Act. You're the president, so.
Pardon me?
I think you'll find.
I can't hear you.
I think you may find that this is an Open Meetings Act kind of situation. I believe there's answers, and this is an open forum.
You got the podium.
I'm looking for open forum where I have Dave, a few questions for Dave, and I'd like him to answer them in public.
So just a point of clarification. It's his belief that this is an open forum. Do you agree?
He has the opportunity to address the public and the board for purposes of whatever he believes is the case for the budget. It's not limited. That's what he has the opportunity to do. Right. It's not a question and answer with Mr. Jones, is what I'm saying.
So the board has no responsibility?
Ma'am, you've had your opportunity. Mr. Conley, the podium is yours.
Can I interject here? I looked this up. There is a public hearing statute in the state of Michigan for the budget. MML puts out guidance on this for all local units of government, including schools, and they do say that we can limit the public comment the same as we limit the public comment during our meetings. It is different, as you said, but it is still, you can limit it in time, and you can limit it in how it is enacted, and our procedures, our bylaws say that we are not going to respond. It is not a question and answer session. So, and we can limit it to 3 minutes. And I suggest that we at least abide by our own bylaws on this unless we have a motion and a vote to change that for this evening.
Well,
So you have 3 minutes, Mr. Conley.
I would suggest you had that ahead of this particular meeting, because this, I mean, this is a budget hearing, and you just made up the rules.
No, it's by statute and by
Not
bylaws.
the 3-minute part. Anyway, Mr. Jones, in the budget, you have a shared service gross income number, right? And expenses. So in that is, I think it's 45 million, from what I understand. So then, the net income from that was how much in the general fund? 10 million? I'll just guess. So in that, your general fund equity only grew a little bit this year. It grew, though, a little bit. I saw your budget. I think that should be discussed in the open. I also noticed that you have on your budget this, I think it's a $3 to $3.5 million chiller acquisition. I know that it was taken from Rogers' $9.5 million in a fund that we put in a repair fund, and that money was taken out of there. But I didn't see anywhere that there were security upgrades. And the other thing I haven't seen is anything to improve student performance yet. Out of all these dollars being spent by you guys, I have not seen a line of programs list how we're going to improve here, improve, and what the benefits are to these kids. Where are the benefits? You're the elected officials to take the money and apply it to help these children. Where is it? What else? I suppose we'll leave it with the other thing, the cost of the May 5th election. What did that cost? Because it's a one-way conversation.
Mr. Conley, if you want to talk about that during the call to the public, that's fine.
No,
This is a budget hearing, so talk about the budget.
This is the budget.
It's not the budget.
You budgeted for the
It's not part of the budget.
$113,000 that you had to pay the townships for the election. I had a question what the total cost of that election was. I know it was $113,000 to the townships. What else did you spend? That was a question I had for your finance meeting. Whether you guys appropriated that money and approved that as a board, I assume you had to approve something. It's over the threshold anybody can spend without an approval. Sure want to look into it though, right? Okay, but I'm really looking for that list of programs for the students. There should be a big list. This year, it should be a tall, big, dozens of things that you're going to do to improve the conditions for students. Thank you.
Anyone else want to address the board as part of the hearing on the budget? If not, we will conclude that portion of the agenda, move us to the call to the public. This is the typical call to the public where anyone who would like to address the board regarding any topic, it doesn't have to be specific to the budget, has the opportunity to do so. When I call your name on the cards that have been deposited, and Ms. Malloy, you're going to be first, so you can stay at the podium. You will have 3 minutes to address the board.
I
Mr.
won't need
Stahl
the
will
whole
be.
three, I won't need the whole 3
Okay.
minutes.
Well, but for everyone else's benefit, let me finish, okay? That Mr. Stahl will be keeping track of time, and when there's 30 seconds left, he will display the yellow card, and when the 3 minutes is up, he will display the red card. So,
Okay.
Ms. Malloy, the floor is yours.
That's fine. I had concerns also about the special election, and I'm surprised that I didn't think to ask that. But I would like to have some answers on some of these questions, and I'm wondering, at what point in time does the board want to discuss the answers to some of these questions that have come up tonight? Because I want to make sure I attend that meeting. The public hearing is, in my 30 years or so of public service, on the public record. That was my understanding, that any statement that is made into the microphone during a public hearing becomes a written part of the public record. And so I have a copy of what I read to you that I will provide to whoever it is I'm supposed to give it to. And I do want to make certain that these comments by all the public that cared to attend tonight become part of the public record. Transparency in government is essential for a democratic republic. That includes transparency of all of the numbers that are being considered in the budget. And line by line, the public is entitled to know what the folks that we have appointed by election are doing with our money. Thank you.
Sid Atkin.
All right, I'll stick to my prepared document. So Sid Atkin, Brighton parent and resident. As the board finalizes the budget and discusses future capital priorities, I want to speak on behalf of our music and performing students. I recognize the failed bond has created difficult decisions. There are more needs than available dollars, and I appreciate the challenge of balancing these priorities. One area I can encourage the board to continue to support the Brighton Center for Performing Arts. Recently, it's been discussed about whether the BCPA covers its costs. I think that question misses the larger purpose of the facility. The BCPA is first and foremost a school resource. The majority of the activity in that building is not the professional series, events, or outside rentals. It is school concerts, musicals, performances, assemblies, rehearsals, and educational programming. The staff who supports the BCPA supports the entire district. Just this weekend, members of that team were helping provide sound and production for the graduation at the stadium. While evaluating the BCPA, I hope we recognize the educational value it provides to thousands of students every year and not simply evaluate as a standalone business operation. I also want to advocate for the orchestra program. The discussion previously around the temperature-controlled instrument storage has at times been framed as an extra or extravagant, and it is neither. The district owns instruments worth thousands of dollars. When those instruments are exposed to significant temperature and humidity swings, they suffer damage and requires ongoing repair and maintenance. Proper storage is not a luxury. It is responsible stewardship of the district assets as a way to reduce long-term costs. Finally, I think we need a plan for a band room. Anyone who spent time in that space and that understands the challenges. It is undersized, inadequate for the program it serves, and the sound levels can reach a point where they're potentially damaging for students and staff. This is not about creating a showcase facility. It's about providing a learning environment that meets the needs of the students and teachers. I understand that every project can't be completed immediately. The students and teachers have done extraordinary work despite limitations in the facilities they use every day, but they deserve a plan. And if people want an air conditioning in the gym, I suggest they get off the sidelines, get out there, and support the next bond. Thank you.
Thank you. John Conley.
Air conditioning in the gym. Yeah, I see it's on for future action, chiller installation. I think it's $3 million project, if I recall, give or take 100,000 or two. I'm not quite sure how that fits in ahead of security measures that were so important to the school and to our students. I would think security measures should be first. This chiller is for air conditioning, which is a luxury for approximately a month or so out of the year, not necessarily a luxury. I heard security was this big deal. So my recommendation is you put a hold on that and gear up for the security that you have the bids on that are far less than the chiller costs, and get your act together on the security system if that's what our students need to remain safe. The other thing is property tax doubled for new homeowners report fines across all 50 states. There's reports. Recently released annual property tax comparison for all the 50 states. Lincoln Institute of Land Policy in Minnesota Center, Fiscal Excellence, documented a wide range of property taxes in more than 100 cities. Noted that the property tax reliance, property values, local government spending levels, classifications, residential, commercial. If you have a person that buys a house today versus somebody that's been in their house for 10 years and the taxes are locked in, it's obviously a totally different situation. So by raising taxes, you're affecting homeowners, existing homeowners, and for sure, the opportunity for new homeowners. You need to take that into serious consideration. Thank you.
Ed Bobrowski.
Yes, my name is Ed Boprowski, and I was here for the March meeting, and I made a request to the board regarding a $25 voucher for the senior center. And I told you at the time that the city of Brighton provides this $25 voucher for its residents. Also, Genoa Township provides the $25 voucher for its residents for the senior center. And I'm a resident of Brighton Township, so I currently do not get that voucher. But I went to pay my taxes in February at Brighton Township, and the treasurer said that they would be happy to give me the voucher for $25 if the Brighton School Board would give them the permission to do so. And when I was here in March, somebody here at this Brighton School Board said they would send the letter to the treasurer to give them the approval for the voucher, and I was wondering if that has been done.
This gentleman right here.
Yeah, he sent it.
He sent the letter? And did you get a response from the Brighton Township about your letter that you sent?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Well, if you didn't,
But we made it clear that they, that whatever permission they need has been granted, so.
it has been granted? But did,
Yeah, we have no
We
objection.
have no authority over the Brighton Township, so.
So in public education, sure, what you discover is you have to ask the people who are offering to help you 5 times to do what you're requesting. So you need to come into the superintendent's office 4 more times and ask for help getting this issue resolved with the township.
Well, we thought it was resolved.
I disagree, because
Back
the
to
letter
the-
was sent, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah, that's
The
Could we
letter
get
was
back
sent
to a
the
public
township.
comment, please?
Why is the
All right,
gentleman?
Point of order.
Hold on. Yeah,
Can I have a point of order?
yes.
What gentleman standing here if it's resolved?
Can we get back to public comment where we
Yes.
don't respond to the public during public comment?
Thank you.
you say the letter has been sent. Can I get a copy of your letter? My address is right here.
Sure.
On this piece of paper.
Sure. Happy to. Thank you.
You will send that to me?
Sure.
You'll mail it to me? Or should you email it or send it through by, post
Your information is,
My street address is on the second page.
second page. Great, thank you.
You will send,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Yep. Take it out.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your help.
Absolutely. Mary Bean.
Good evening. My name is Mary Bean, and I am a teacher at Hilton Elementary in the 3rd grade. Thank you for allowing me a few moments tonight. I know it is the busiest time of year, so for so many of you. But I wanted to take a moment as I prepare to retire from Brighton area schools to share with you that I've spent some time reflecting on my journey. I want to begin by talking about the very first class list I was ever handed. And I remember staring at those names and thinking of what an immense sense of gratitude I had for these children and the opportunity to make a difference in their lives. At the time, my very first class list, I was 14, and it happened to be through dance. But even then, I knew I wanted to be someone that the children could count on forever, who could trust me to show up for them, that they could look up to outside of the classroom and feel deeply connected to. And ever since that year, I have spent time every year poring over a list of names, some strangers, some familiar last names, some colleagues' children, and I have felt that same sense of hope and wonder. And without exception, every single class and every single child has taught me more than I ever imagined that I could learn. I cannot pinpoint exactly what I love most about teaching. Watching a child move from not knowing something to having full understanding of it, it's the fuel, it's the magic. I love designing for children. I love thinking about what they need, thinking about what I'm supposed to teach them, and designing exactly what they need to get to what they're supposed to know when they leave the 3rd grade. Oddly enough, I really love analyzing data and looking at what that means as far as how children are learning, and I love taking data and using it to design, because that's really the order of operations We need to know where the children are at and design exactly for what they need. I love learning how the brain learns. And I love that now educators around the world can collaborate with each other. And that's been a great gift in the last 10 years for me, is connecting with people all over the world and seeing how children all over the world are learning. And I have to say there's something really special about American public education, because my educator friends all over the world, they don't have days like Saturday. Because in most countries there aren't graduation ceremonies. The children show up for lessons and they learn, and then they go home and they go about their lives. But I was telling some people on Saturday, when I pull up to Brighton High School on Saturday morning and there are so many things happening on that campus, you just can't help but sit and just soak in the magic of American public education. Throughout all of the Michigan core academic standards that I teach, I have loved actually creating curiosity, teaching children to be curious learners, thoughtful citizens, and in their own right, with whatever challenges they have, feeling confident for what they bring into a room. So for decades, I have wanted children to know that they belong in the conversation. I have wanted them to know that their ideas have value and they have something meaningful to contribute. And I hope that every child that I taught remembers that good thinking takes time and that new questions are more important than old answers. So as I've processed what I've tried to give, I couldn't help but make the connection to the fact that what I have tried to provide the children in my care, I have actually been given through Brighton area schools. I really feel like this district has given me a place to contribute, opportunities to contribute. I feel like I've been invited to conversations I probably didn't belong in, but people have wanted to listen to my ideas. And I really felt like I have been trusted. They've trusted me to lead, to learn. I have felt safe taking risks here with my principals, with my colleagues, and I really have felt like throughout my entire career that my voice mattered here in Brighton area schools, and that's a remarkable gift. So I am forever grateful for the students who have filled my days with adventure, and so much connection. And the families who have trusted me with their beautiful children. I just don't really think that there's anything more grand than a parent saying, here is my child, I trust you. Thank you. For the colleagues who have challenged me, supported me, and were incredible thought partners. Brighton area schools has never just been a place where I have shown up to work. It has been a place where I felt like I belonged. So tonight I simply want to say thank you. Thank you for creating a district where students are encouraged to find their voice. Thank you for creating a district where educators are given one. And thank you for allowing me the privilege of spending a significant part of my life in the service to this community. It has been an absolute honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dean. Okay, that concludes the call to the public portion of our agenda. Moves us to our for action agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes of May 11, 2026. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. That moves us to item B, special meeting minutes of May 27, 2026. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as presented? Moved by Mr. Storm. Supported by Ms. Tierney. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. That moves us to item C, Human Resources Report. Mr. Anastasoff.
All right, thank you. So I did update the Human Resource Report that's ever on everybody's desk, and it's paperclip to the resumes of the teachers that we have on here as well for you to review. So just to let everybody know, I did update this. As you know, this is the busy season of hiring. So we did have 7 new hire meetings just since I released the last packet on Thursday and gave it to Star, who distributed it to you. So this is updated along with the vacancies too that were removed as we got new staff. So looking to move these in, we do have 15 teachers listed on here. Just to give you a couple numbers from the secondary perspective, these are out of 121 total applicants, and then elementary was over 200 individual people applied for those positions. So again, quite an honor, and we're excited about bringing these individuals on board. It was definitely a great group of people that has been interviewing over the past few weeks. And then we came in with a varying experience of the ones that we have. That we have 4 brand new teachers from college. We have 5 that are in their first 3 years of teaching, 5 more in their 4th and 5th year, and then 3 that are 8 years plus. So there's also kind of an arrangement of with an average of 3.8 years of experience coming in. So we're excited about this crew. We still have a few, as you see at the bottom, that were listed. One's from either later resignations or kind of that snowball effect when one person gets a job internally and we have to open another position. But we plan on getting those filled as soon as possible, but we're in good shape from a teacher perspective.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs, supported by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? Sure.
In looking through these resumes, there are several elementary teachers that, at least from the resumes, do not list that they're science or reading or letters trained. Do you know if that's something we screened for in the interview process?
It was not, at least from us, that would have been more, I guess, on an individual basis in the elementary. It wasn't something that we specifically requested within that. Obviously, if they come in without, certain skills, we would be looking at, even with our current teachers, to be looking at that additional training as well. We know there are a few that mentioned being excited about coming into the potential new ELA curriculum that we're about to hear about, that have some experience with that, but that was one element that wasn't specifically asked for the principals to look at.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
You can remind me, the BHS/Scranton Spanish teacher, can you remind me the FTEs that are going to be, each school?
Yes, it currently will be 0.4 at BHS, so 2 classes at the high school, and then 0.6 at Scranton, so 3 classes at Scranton at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. And we look forward to all of the new hires joining our district and making profound, meaningful contributions to the academic success of our students. Moves us to item D, LESA budget 2026-2027. Do we have a motion to approve the LESA budget as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs.
Support.
Support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Ms. Marks, if you have some.
You can ask first. I don't have questions, I have a statement, so go ahead.
Yeah, so just a couple things to point out for the public in our packet, which is in the public packet that STAR publishes. Primary expenditure categories for the Livingston ESA General and Special Education Fund, 65% is in salaries and benefits, and 72%, so when you look at average Livingston County, like across Livingston County, it's 72%. When you flip the page and you look at the 2026-2027 summary by fund, there's 38.1 million in the general fund and then 73.3 million in the special education fund. How do they, as far as the revenue that districts contribute to, Lisa, Dave, how do those funds get allocated from the district to the entity? Do we send 2 separate like wires, if you will, or is it just a single shot of money that they then allocate?
Our items that we have to pay to LESA vary, so they will submit an invoice to us. That will happen throughout the year, and then we will pay them. It's based upon what the program is.
So there's multiple payments that happen through the school year or calendar year?
I do everything on a school year.
School year, okay.
I look at school year.
Okay. And then I had mentioned earlier when Roger had asked me to wait until we got to this part of the budget, Livingston ESA staffing allocation, it was really eye-opening for me when I looked through the board packet prior to the meeting. Administrative offices, if you look at page 25 in the packet that Star publishes, the administrative staff positions, if I'm interpreting this correctly, and Jake, maybe you can help me if you're familiar with it, I'm assuming the 77.5, unlike in our budget, FTE stands for full-time equivalent, I'm assuming that's head count. Is that correct? Where it says 77.5 on page 25? Administrative offices, 77.5 under totals on the far right. You or Dave happen to know, or Dr. Outlaw? And the reason that it would, like, stood out to me is if you scroll down and you look, for example, at special education teachers, the total is 104. And if you scroll down further and you look at early childhood Head Start, it's 111. So there's almost like a delta of 20, only 20, between administrative offices and the actual individuals who are receiving funds from LESA for special education and early childhood programs, if I'm interpreting that correctly. So does anyone know in the room?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of who works there, but that would definitely say that's exactly what it is. There would be 77 head count. That would be considered.
It just seems like, again, back to our conversation around the Brighton budget, an enormous amount of funds being allocated to administration versus teachers who are actually providing instruction to students who need it. And it's just something I wanted to highlight and point out.
Anyone else? Ms. Marks?
Sure. I plan to vote no. I will not support this, but I want to explain my vote. I believe my role is to, on the board here, is to ensure BAS students are provided with the best opportunities for success. And over the past year, I think LESA administration has made decisions that are in opposition to that goal. I understand recently there's been some forward movement, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful for it. However, the past decisions are disappointing to me, and this is the means I have to express that disappointment. And so I just want to share that before the no vote. So if anyone questions it, I'm happy to talk about it further.
I echo that sentiment.
Okay. Anyone else want to?
One last question or maybe
Well, hold on,
comment.
let me see.
Sure, please.
Let everyone
Anyone
else,
wants to
anyone else
speak?
have an opportunity to, anyone else want to say anything? No? Okay.
Just a quick comment. Page 22. So as we're talking about trying to take cost out of our budget, and instead of budgets increasing year over year into perpetuity, if you look at page 22, you can see from the year 2023 out to the proposed budget in 2027, the continual increase year over year in the budget and expenditures tied to this program. And so I also am advocating that we as a district stop supporting this.
What page are you talking about, Andy?
22, right there, that page you're looking at.
They're out of order. They go backward.
It's
No,
numbered,
22, right, it's page 22.
Page 22. So if you look at the 2023, 2024, 2025, the dollars, right, and part of this is the tax levy, the bond, right, that taxpayers are paying in Livingston County.
Well, there's the millage restoration for
Correct.
the LESA,
Yeah,
right?
correct. So you can just see the continual growth in both the tax levy as well as what is being referenced as the millage restoration. So you can just see how year over year it's increasing.
Okay.
And then if you flip the page, and you can look at the general fund section, you can follow the same from left to right, Roger.
I don't understand your point. I mean, we don't have any control over the millage.
I don't disagree that we don't have control.
Oh, okay.
All I'm saying is that the dollars that residents of our community, of our county, are spending out of their pocket for this program is meaningful, is significant.
I see, okay.
Yep. And by advocating for the budget and continually supporting the program, we're allowing this to continue.
Got it, okay.
I would just, since LESA is not here to answer the questions, I just would, I would say that LESA really supports students across this county, particularly when it comes to special education, transportation. Many of the dollars that are in this are pass-through dollars that pass through LESA directly to our districts. They have listened to us. They have reached out to us. They have been great partners for our school district. So this is a board decision, but I would encourage you before turning this down, if you want more information, would be to set this aside and perhaps reach out and have Dr. Hubert come in to answer questions. This is a group, this is a service agency. They're here to serve our district, serve our schools. They've reached out, they have offered to answer questions, any questions that you might have, and I think they still do. So I just want to speak on their behalf and just say this is, these are our partners. These are county partners, and just like us, not everything's perfect, but they're here for us, and they're, I think they're very open to ideas and suggestions. So just wanted to share that.
I would personally love to see the dollars that go to them flow to this district and allow the board in this district to use those dollars as we need in our community. I acknowledge it's an opinion of one.
Well, it's legally possible, unfortunately.
Well, if
yeah,
the state legislatures made it legally possible, it would be very possible.
Well, there's a lot of things that could be
Yeah,
possible.
I don't disagree.
If the state legislature would do different things.
We have a
right?
tendency is, well, it's not possible, and in Florida, they're getting rid of property taxes, so it's possible.
So, go ahead, Mr. Urbane.
I would just urge us not to table this matter. I know when it was up for action last week, or last month, I stated on the record that I was going to vote no, and you guys, also met with them. You could have relayed those objections, and if they were that concerned, they would be here, or they would have reached out in between, and I heard nothing, and so I am not in favor of tabling this. I think a vote tonight. We can always reconsider it in the, future meetings, but I think it's important to send a message tonight.
So just to follow up on that, we did have the meeting. Dr. Outlaw and I met with Luann Loy, who's the president of the LESA board, and Mr. Hubert. We did absolutely relay the significant concerns that we had, in particularly with regard to the auditing process with the FTEs and some of the troubling aspects regarding the manner in which that's being handled by LESA. We shared our concerns. We said it was unacceptable. We talked about how to find common ground moving forward. That has led to further discussion, and that includes there are pending appeals with regard to shared services, FTE allocations, and that's one aspect of it. But there's some other operational aspects that we don't necessarily get involved with as a board that were raised during the course of that meeting. Luann Loy, on behalf of the board, reiterated that they 100% support all of the local districts. And obviously, there is a tremendous amount of, the services that are provided, not, obviously with Brighton, but all the other districts. And there obviously needs to be a very collaborative working relationship for all of these programs to be successful. So we did make that very clear. They understood our objections. They've made a commitment to move forward. I will tell you that, frankly, I was on the fence about whether I would actually support this more as a, to the points have been made as more of a political statement, because quite frankly, even if we vote no, this is still their budget. I mean, this isn't going to change the effectiveness of their budget. It's advisory. We all do it. I think all the other districts already have approved their budget. And like any budget, there's room for disagreement as to how resources are allocated. So from my perspective, given the good faith gesture that has been committed to by Mr. Hubert with support of their board, I am going to support this. I think again, it's an opportunity for us to move forward in a collaborative manner and to address the deficiencies that have existed, particularly with regard to their auditing process. So we didn't necessarily tell them they had to be here tonight to say that. We obviously indicated that we would share the feedback. Dr. Outlaw has already shared it directly to us anyway, but that's where we are. So, okay,
Thank you for sharing that, because I was a no vote prior to that explanation as well, but I would like to work in a collaborative manner. So,
Yeah,
appreciate-
they understand we're not happy, and I don't, and from my perspective, piling on and voting no now after the meeting we had and the interaction that has taken place since then, I think would be counterproductive. That's my
That's
opinion.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
My comment on this is they service the children that are most in need of this service, and it costs triple, I think is the estimate, to take care of these children. So, I certainly would like to have the discussion, especially about the budgeting. However, I think, I'm definitely gonna vote yes towards it. Again, it's symbolic, it's already a presumed conclusion. We are just simply saying we agree or we disagree. And I don't necessarily disagree with their numbers. I don't know enough about their numbers to disagree or agree, but I do know what they do is much needed, and it serves a group of kids that need our help. So I'm gonna vote yes on this.
I'd like to I appreciate the explanation that you provided, and I want to clarify, just personally speaking from my perspective, I'm not discounting the services that are provided to the district in any way, shape, or form, nor the staff that do that. That's not what this is about. I also 100% understand it is a symbolic vote. It's not going to change their budget one way or the other. However, I have had a lot of frustration over the past year over how things were handled, and again, I appreciate that they're willing to move forward, but I still think that expressing that displeasure in the vehicle that we're given is not necessarily a bad thing either, so.
So I'd like to add, I will be voting yes. I agree with everybody. I should say I understand everybody's perspective, but as a gesture of good faith based on the meeting, I'm going to be voting yes.
What? Go ahead.
I don't know how to properly state this, but if that good faith is rescinded, then what do we have to voice our displeasure? I mean, I want to make sure that we continue to work forward
Nothing happens.
in a collaborative manner. That's
Nothing
what I'm-
happens. This is a symbolic vote. Like,
Okay.
Well, with regard to this, I mean, obviously, there's legal, there's
why do we even do this?
administrative.
Why do we vote? I've asked this before in years past. What a
Because we're
huge,
required to.
what a huge waste of time.
All right. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
That passes 4-3. All right, that moves us to item E, property tax L 4029. Mr. Jones.
Yes, we are asking that the board approve our 2026 tax levy, known as your Form L 4029, which includes the operating millage and the debt millage for 2026. The operating millage is 18.0, and the debt millage for 2026 is 2.73.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the L 4029 form as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs. Support. Support by Mr. Stahl. Any discussion? All those.
Question?
Sure.
So, Dave, one of the items when we went through the whole recent bond cycle involved property taxes. So I'd like to just clear the air. If the bond had passed, how would the levy that gets applied to taxpaying citizens in our community have changed if the bond would have been voted yes?
The estimate that was done months ago was an increase of 1.08.
Thank you. Thank you.
I couldn't hear that. An increase of what?
1.08.
Mills?
So the tax rate would have gone up?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. Item F, the final budget for 2025, 2026, and the projected budget for 2026, 2027.
Yes, so in your packet is two resolutions, one for the 25-26 budget and one for the proposed 26-27 budget for the following 5 funds: the general operating fund, the food service fund, the community education fund, the student activity fund, and the Capital Projects Fund, and asking that the board approve those.
All right, so we'll start with the proposed final 2025-2026 budget regarding all five of those, the funds. Do we have a motion to approve that final budget as presented? Moved by Mr. Stahl.
Support.
Support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. All right, and that moves us to the projected budget for 2026, 2027. Anything further you would like to add, Mr. Jones?
No, sir.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the proposed 2026, 2027 budget as presented? Moved by Dr. Krebs. Support by Ms. Urbane. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 6-1. All right, that moves us to item G, Resolution Title III.
I will take that one also.
Mr. Jones.
So we're asking that the board not accept our award for Title III. It's a very small amount, and we have not historically accepted this amount, so we just need a resolution to accept the fact that we will not accept the Title III dollars.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the relinquishment of the Title III funds as presented? Moved by Mr. Stahl, supported by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. Item H, new bridge course offerings. Dr. Outlaw.
Are there any further questions? Mr. Vecchione's here, and he can answer any questions that you may have. We talked about this for future action at the last meeting. These are a couple additions to the bridge offerings.
All right.
Related to the discussion that we had with them.
Okay. We'll go ahead and do a motion, and then we'll have the discussion. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the recommended new bridge course offerings for GED prep and community service? Moved by Mr. Stahl. Support by Ms. Tierney. Okay, any discussion? Mr. Storm.
Just one question. I brought it up when we had the conversation when he came into the prior meeting when it was discussed, and it was attendance. Were you able to establish what the attendance and absenteeism rates are for the bridge?
Too high. It's too high.
So what are they? So roughly half of the time students are not attending class when they should be? Okay, thank you.
And I just want to state then again what the courses are. We're looking at two courses. The first one is a GED equivalent prep course, and the second one is to receive credit for community service. So just a reminder to get that on the record.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Krebs. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 6-1. That moves us to item I, ELA curriculum approval and materials purchase. I guess we'll start with a motion, and then we'll have discussion. Do we have a motion to, or do you want to just start?
Do the motion. It's great.
Okay.
And then bring it forward.
All right. So do we have a motion to approve the ELA curriculum and materials purchase as presented? Moved by Ms. Tierney, supported by Ms. Urbane. All right. Do we have discussion?
Are there any further questions? I know that the academic committee's heard several presentations. The board heard it for future action last time. Mrs. Boyd and Mrs. Alexander have done a remarkable job leading many, many people through this whole effort. But what other questions do you have for our experts?
Ms. Urbane.
I just have a statement, not a question, so I
Well,
can
that's
wait
fine.
if anybody has questions. Just going to say, for me, tonight marks a major milestone for literacy in Brighton. One of the top priorities when I ran for the Brighton School Board was improving literacy outcomes. If approved tonight, we will take a significant step forward in adopting new K-5 English Language Arts curriculum. This curriculum, CKLA, is grounded in the science of reading and replaces the outdated Lucy Calkins resources that were failing to many students. This achievement's a credit to our staff, who spent the last year piloting programs, gathering feedback, and to our students who embraced new approaches and worked hard through the process. While it's worth celebrating, our work is not done. We must continue replacing Lucy Calkins in grades 6 through 8 and ensure that every K-5 teacher has high-quality science or reading training.
programs, however, do not teach children. Great teachers do. The best science of reading training available today, letters, takes approximately 160 hours over 2 years. It's been described by many educators, including many here in Brighton, as transformative to their teaching. For this Herculean effort, I also encourage us through the Finance Committee to fairly compensate our educators for the completion of this program. I'm proud of our progress, and I'm excited for what's ahead, and I want to specifically thank Chelsea Boyd and Cody Alexander for really picking up the ball and running, and our teachers for working hard, even on time they didn't need to be available to work through this process. And not only did they pilot they piloted 2 additional curriculums this year. So thank you.
I just wanted to mention one of the things that struck me the most in the academic meeting when you were sharing some of the results was what the students said about this particular program and how much they loved it, and that just their off-the-cuff comments about how they were, so excited and they're learning about things and it's fun and I'm learning at the same time. And I just think that's fantastic, and that's what we should be striving for. So bravo, great job. Thank you. Thanks. Well, good evening. Oh, is it my turn? Okay. Go ahead, if you want, go ahead.
Go ahead. Excited about this. I just wanted to say that I am also very excited to support the adoption of CKLA for our district, and I wanted to acknowledge all of our educators, because I think throughout the process the teachers demonstrated just the incredible caliber of educators that we have here in Brighton. They're professionals who continually refine their craft and deliver high quality instruction regardless of what that curriculum is in place. As you guys know, CKLA aligns with the science of reading, and it's recognized by organizations such as the Reading League for its strong foundation in explicit, systematic instruction, knowledge building, and support for all learners. Literacy is the foundation of learning, and I believe this, combined with the expertise of all of our teachers, will help catapult student achievement and create strong outcomes for students. So thank you both for picking up the ball and running with it and getting us to this point. I appreciate everybody who was involved. Thank you.
Anybody else? I think for the benefit of the public, it would be helpful. I mean, we obviously have a much greater in-depth knowledge than anyone watching it online, so I think it would be, because it is so important and a testament to all of the hard work that the two of you and everyone else has put in, I think it's worthy of sharing it with the public so they understand exactly what's taking place.
It's brief, we promise. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. 42. 42 minutes. So, good evening. Thank you for humoring us, showing you this as well. And we were able to show you some of the quotes and things that we were able to show the Board Academic Committee. A little bit about Amplify CKLA. Amplify is the publishing company. CKLA is the name of the program. Core Knowledge Language Arts is what that stands for. We like our acronyms in education. So it is the 3rd edition of their program. It is a comprehensive, it's actually a JK8 program, but for the purposes of what we're adopting now, it'll be our K5, right? It does expand to 6th through 8th, which is also nice for potential future work, which we'll talk about at the end. Very strongly aligned to the science of reading. The Reading League the Reading League National had done comprehensive reviews of many different curriculums. This is incredibly highly ranked. The 3rd edition review just came out and was ranked even higher than the prior 2nd edition. So if you want to look at something like that, the report, it is online, and I can always send it to you if you'd like to read it. It's actually pretty user-friendly and gives you different rankings on different areas of the Big 5 of reading. It has 2 different strands. It has a skills strand, which is your foundational reading skills. If anyone knows the Scarborough's rope, so any teachers listening are going to be like, yeah. The bottom part of the rope talks about those foundational skills that you have to have, which is phonics and those core foundations. The upper part of that rope talks about language comprehension and all of those comprehension pieces of reading instruction. This has a skill strand, and the knowledge strand covers that other one. It is also a knowledge building curriculum, which is a little bit different because it goes through core components of
things that are most highly ranked on like SAT, different knowledge pieces, different assessments that are higher up, and it builds a knowledge base for students in one area with depth. That's kind of what they were speaking to, is, for instance, like geology, the American Revolution, poetry. Each of those are the units, and those build the knowledge base around that, along with integrating those foundational skills and writing inside of it. It's all very integrated. At 3rd through 8th grade, those strands come together, just like they should, and they do all of that as an integrated approach as well. It is a top-ranked resource from all of our teachers and our students and some of our parents. Although we asked many teachers to gather feedback from their students, and you'll see some of that. We also got feedback from our teachers along the entire way, and then many parents also gave feedback about what they were seeing with their students at K-5.
Just a quick highlight of kind of the number of participants, of teachers who participated in the pilot. We wanted to include this to show that there was a nice big spread across all the buildings that are going to be impacted by the adoption of this curriculum. You'll see it was a total of 94 teachers were involved in one, some, or all of our pilot processes. You can see here there's just some direct quotes we took from some of the feedback that we gathered from teachers. We thought it was really important to have ratings and opportunities for them to respond with text about kind of what their experience was. And as you can see, it was very positive, and it was deep. They thought very deeply about what they liked about it, very specific about what they liked about it. It has felt like a breath of fresh air. So I think that speaks for it. We think that speaks for itself.
For some of our students, I'd like you to read some of these. They're great. The parent is the orange on the bottom. We received many communications from students. They would just email us as well. That was kind of fun. Dr. Outlaw received some emails. I received some emails. Ms. Alexander received emails. So the students were really advocating for their learning as well, which is a great thing to see. And the teachers were supporting them and giving that feedback. Many parents had reported stronger conversations. If you don't know, I have a junior kindergartner and a 4th grader, and I've never learned so much about geology in my life as I did from my 4th grader who was doing that unit. We were in Pittsburgh a couple weekends ago visiting my brother, and he walked by and he said, "My goodness, all of these are sedimentary rocks." My son likes sports and not so much reading, and so the fact that I'm hearing those things from him and he's having conversations with his friends about different topics really shows you that they were interested in that deep learning. The cost for this is annual cost for both the assessment and data system in the core program. And then,
yeah, so we kind of compiled some next steps, like where do we go from here? Because obviously it doesn't stop here. It's kind of, this would just be the beginning. Chelsea and I have scheduled some PD for teachers in the fall, so everyone will get full training within our contracted time, so no summer learning or anything. When we get back, we've already kind of arranged that. We'll definitely focus on instructional strategies and the importance of that Tier 1 instruction. We'll start aligning it with other things we have going, such as our report cards. We'll keep up our collaboration with Howell and do some site visits back and forth and continue collaborating with them, and then a full pilot materials collection. So we've developed a system and process, how to get all of those materials that currently are sitting in our buildings, kind of collect those together so that teachers have time and space for what's new.
so the goal of K-5 would be full implementation in the fall with training, including our special education teachers, our educational assistants. Everyone will receive training, so we're all hitting the ground running, learning this new resource and how it plays into all of the different systems we have K-5. Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any questions?
Any further questions?
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you.
Yes, and again, we can't thank you enough for all of your leadership and dedication and everyone in the district that's been part of this initiative. It speaks volumes to your commitment to our students and our families, and just can't say enough about extending a heartfelt thanks on behalf of the board.
We just coordinated. The teachers did all the hard work.
Yeah, the teacher, yeah. Yeah.
They were the ones that did all the work, boots on the ground. One is here,
One is
right?
here, yeah.
It was a lot for them. And I really think when I interviewed to be a principal, they asked me what was my favorite thing about Brighton area schools. And I said, I've seen teachers move things that are best for children faster in this district than anywhere else I've ever worked. And I think that was my answer for that reason. And when I went into this in January, coming in to continue the work that was already going, I saw it again from January to June, and they're still working hard right now, and we have 2.5 days of school left.
There was a fire. They were very committed from the start, like, yes, we are in, we will do what we have to do. So the fact they kept saying yes and attending and going and trying really speaks to the grit and tenacity of our people.
All right. So we have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask just a quick administrative question?
Sure.
This is a very easy one. As long as I've been on this board, you said that.
You might want to turn your microphone on.
I said, as long as I've sat on the board, I've brought this up. We have teachers, principals who come in for presentations. And if we look at the clock, it's 20 after 9. I'm guilty of contributing to the time that since the meeting started. But what I don't, and I say this sincerely, like, why do we not have teachers and administrators who are here to present something like this at the very top of the agenda so they don't have to sit here and wait? Like, what could we do to fix that? I brought it up before. I mean, I'm very serious about that.
I mean, go ahead. I mean, don't you guys want to be at the meeting all night? I think. Okay, excellent. That's probably why. All right, thanks.
We have tried to have the staff early. This was the budget hearing, and that has to go first, and that was majority of it. It was almost 9 o'clock by the time you started on action items. But most times, we agree completely.
I'm just bringing it up and
We'll
pointing it out that it'd be
We'll always
wonderful
have them
if
there
we could
whenever
figure
it
out-
works.
I mean, we did Shining Stars before we did the budget hearing, so it's like,
Yeah, but it's just all.
Kids, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get kids out of here too. I hear what you're saying, and there's certainly not an intent to keep people here longer than they need to be here or should be here. That's certainly not our goal.
it would just be really nice to figure out a way to allow them to present sooner versus later.
Okay. So that moves us to, for future action, item A, MHSAA resolution. Dr. Outlaw?
This is just the annual resolution to join the MHSA, so this will be on for action at the next meeting. Is there any questions on that? Mr. Thompson's here if you do have any questions.
I know I've expressed this to him myself, but I'm going to state it for the public. The Michigan High School Athletic Association does not allow streaming of any games that are tournament games, so district, regional, regardless of whether they're being streamed publicly or not. So parents, grandparents can't watch the games from home in many instances, especially districts. And I just would like, as representative body to the Michigan High School Athletic Association, to bring that up to them, that if it's not being streamed by a commercial service, why not allow the locals to stream it?
Any further discussion? Okay, moves us to item B, handbook revisions. Mr. Anastasoff?
All right, the policy committee, a week ago today, looked over a few different changes. The main ones were the bridge, the high school, and then a few of the transportation that goes across to all of them. The bridge was probably the most substantial change. They did convert over to the high school's handbook with bridge-specific changes in it throughout, so that was probably one of the most significant changes, and then it went kind of down from there. But that was electronically sent to you. I have a paper copy of some of the others, and STAR did bring a paper copy of the bridge if needed, but since it is the whole handbook, we did not print that out, at least for today.
So I just want to make a comment about the high school first page, first section here. With the additional financial literacy credit, that now puts the required number of credits at 22.5. If you look at our students having 6-hour days, 4 years, 24 24 credits. That only gives them 1.5 for credit for, what am I saying? For extra courses. And we talked at the academic committee meeting about the option of having an alternative 7-hour. I know it hasn't been really well received. But can we get more options for our students? I feel like there's really not a lot of choice for them. The electives, we have the electives, but the students really don't have a lot of time in their calendars. So things like band and choir and the arts and auto, I mean, all of these kind of additional courses, students are really struggling to get to. I know they can do some things, they can test out of some of them, I know they can take some of them at Scranton, but ultimately, that's a lot of credits required by the state for them to take.
Yeah, so to answer the first part, the 0.5 financial literacy is going to be embedded in some of their courses that they're taking already, and they are still going to get that 0.5 as far as on there, so that's why the 22.5 is in there, but it should not add additional courses to them. So that's at least the first part, but yeah, I mean, there has been some conversation regarding it still is at 22, right? And so that is recognized. There was some communication out there, yeah. Yeah, that's what the high school set that up.
So I just want to be clear, that's 22.5 to graduate. That doesn't mean that all 22.5 are required courses. So there are options for electives embedded in that 22.5. But I share your sentiment, and I would love to see us go to a 7-hour day. I was talking to somebody about the failed JROTC thing the other day, and one of the big differences between us and Howell is they get a 7-hour day. So the kids have additional opportunity for electives that our kids don't. And that probably, in my opinion, led to less kids taking or wanting JROTC because they didn't have enough space in their schedule.
All right, any further questions regarding, or comments regarding the handbook revisions? No? All right, moves us to item C, chiller installation. Ms. Jones.
So we are hoping to have this week our work done by the structural engineers and our architects, and so we'll be able to move forward to put together the RFP for the installation of the chillers that we've already placed the order for. So hopefully we can have that out soon. Just need 2 weeks' time for the RFP to be public, and we'll have a vendor selection for you at the next board meeting.
Okay, any questions? All right, that moves us to item D, DECA field trip overnight. Dr. Outlaw?
I can keep it quick. This is both D and E. This is the state competition for our award-winning DECA program, and then E is the national competition. So they're submitting paperwork to take part in those competitions where I think our students were here at the last meeting. This is for next year.
Any questions? Okay, then that moves us to item F, policy 5405, Title I parent and family engagement. Mr. Anastasov?
All right, so this policy, or this particular policy change, the committee has been going over for a while, kind of looking at, because there was extensive changes to it due to the law did require us to fill in some BAS-specific activities within it, so this is our first time around taking a look at this.
Any questions? All right. That concludes the board future action. Moves us to board committee chair reports, committee recognition.
I would like to just acknowledge and recognize Mr. Evans for all of his hard work and his staff's hard work and the team that was involved's hard work with graduation on Saturday. I thought the communication was excellent, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to the parents and to the community. And I always admire just watching all of you in action and how you involve the students and do such a nice job of, I asked you when we were there, giving 517 diplomas out in, less than 2 hours from start to finish. It's just remarkable, and you can just do a really nice job, so thank you.
on that. I think I was most impressed by the relationships these kids have built with all of you at the high school. I mean, you can feel how much they are going to miss you. So thank you for devoting time to foster that.
I'd like to let you know, because I was almost late coming here, but he also just ran the senior, what to know about seniors next year class just before coming here. Thank you, I appreciate it. It was very informative. I know it's my third one, but it was my first time going.
The academic committee met, but most of what we've talked about already. It was the scores in the ELA program.
From policy, you have everything that's for future action. Our next meeting is July 13th. I think primarily we'll be going over summer updates from Troon if they have them, but I think that's the biggest thing on our agenda for the next meeting.
All right. Katie, did you want to say something on this, or you want me to do it? Full disclosure, I did not make it to that meeting, but I got in late on the phone. There was an update on the summer projects. Auxiliary field turf is being completed by the end of next week. The main stadium field will be again next after graduation. The target for completion is early July. Chiller HVAC RFP on track. We heard that tonight as well. Units will not arrive for 32 weeks. They're looking to do steel work for this project for this summer while school's out. An RFP package is being prepared for the public for the labor of the chiller. A multi-horning traffic study. Bids were being sought to bring in a traffic engineer to provide guidance for official placement and traffic flow at the multi-horning site. Mr. Storm indicated opposition to the administration seeking proposals for varying reasons. The administration will hold off until the full board weighs in. Capital improvement projection and discussion. Mr. Storm and Mrs. Tierney reviewed the list and discussed possible recommendations, recommended the following to go to the full board for consideration: Hilton Well, Spencer Boiler Chiller, Miller Boiler, Horning Chiller, Safety Lockout. Scranton Access Road, handicap space access. Mr. Storm shared information about an email he received about handicapped access to the Scranton Field spots. Mr. Storm would like to have some sort of maintenance strip similar to a car wash. Yeah, for access for a short-term solution for the Brighton residents. Long-term plan requested as well. Discussions will take place with the state officials first. I was part of that discussion with Mr. Storm on the phone, and I know exactly what that is. The next meeting is to be determined at 4:30 in the boardroom. We'll got a lot going on, so we'll come up with a date. Meeting was adjourned at 5:35.
Anyone else?
Community recognition. I just wanted to acknowledge the entire team that pulled off the senior all-night party. Michelle Latendre headed that up. Deanne Farrell was part of it, our own Mrs. Marks. And I'm going to speak to her because she was there all week long, pulling stuff out of closets, setting up the entertainment center. The day of graduation, she was there at 9 a.m. to set up, made it to graduation, immediately back at the school until 4 a.m. So literally over 24 hours on that singular day invested into it. But really, we have a great group of parents that pulled that off for our students. I think they had a great time from what I saw. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for recognizing all of those people and all of their hard work, because it's amazing how much goes into that. Kudos
Such
to you.
a fun night, though.
But
Such a fun night.
yeah.
Everyone should volunteer. Super fun.
Ms. Urbane.
On that, on community recognition, I think most of you probably saw, but if you haven't, that the Kiwanis Club came to an agreement to run their summer concerts at the Selkra Skate Park. So that's behind Meyer. And it sounds like the city did a lot of work to try to get them into that space because of limits with the number of attendees. They amended some of the ordinances and things, and then got some of the partners, Meyer, the post office, the library, and St. Pat's to help make sure that there's enough space for cars to park. So it looks like there will be a happy ending, and the concerts will continue this year.
Anything further? Okay, that concludes everything on our agenda for this evening. Our next regular meeting is Monday, July 13, 2026 at 7 p.m., and we are adjourned.